welcome to the latest episode of Silicon and Spice, where tech leaders share life's unique flavors. And today we have my good friend Shomi here. Do you want to wave hi?
Hi.
Just a quick intro. Shomi and I have been friends since 2019, our PayPal years.
Yes.
And you have had 20 plus years of experiences in tech. And we're both first generation immigrants.
Yeah.
And we're both moms. And you are currently a fintech leader in AI, data, commerce, and platform and more. So my first question is very career related. Since you built your entire career in the engineering domain across different areas like healthcare, realtor, and education, and now you're a fintech leader and you work at like PayPal, Stripe, Block, and more. So I'm curious, kind of how did you get into so many domains really quickly? And then how did you climb the ladder from IC to engineering leadership?
Wow. First of all, thank you for having me. It's a wonderful day, nice weather. Good to always chat with you. We have known each other for a while. Looking back, I think it was not intentional. What I did have was like ambition. I wanted to be somewhere. I wanted to go somewhere. I'm born and raised in a small town, and I knew I loved computers growing up.
Okay.
And I knew I wanted to travel the world. So I was like, okay, these two things I can do if I become a computer science engineer, and which I did. And then once I came to US, I was not in Bay Area for the first few years.
Okay.
I was in Chicago. But I quickly realized that I have to be in Bay Area to do what I want to do.
We're the center of the universe.
Yeah. And at that time, Bay Area was really like booming, even now. But, that time the center there was no work from home, no remote. Everything was happening here. So somehow from Chicago, I made the way here. I negotiated work from home for the startup I was working at that time.
That's amazing. Wow.
And they agreed. And I was the only person working from home for them in California while they were headquarters in Chicago.
Okay.
So I did back and forth. I traveled every few weeks or a quarter.
Yeah.
I did that for 2 years. And then I quickly realized I wanted to kind of like find my footing in a Bay Area company. So I made my way. And then the first interview with the fintech. And then I remember like in one of the companies, I was doing a lot of like what you would call traditional like team lead / manager work. It was a small company. So we didn't have like official titles. But my leader at the time said, hey, Shomi, what do you want to do next? And he said that you would be a good leader. You should try that. And I was so naive and inconfident at that time. And I was like, can I do that? He's like, you can do whatever you put your mind at.
Okay.
So I think he kind of pushed me into being a people leader, technical leader. And then the interview from the first fintech camp, PayPal, and they were looking for someone who had ad tech experience, which I had from beginning. So I joined PayPal in the beginning, not to do finance, but to do ad.
Yeah, I did not know that.
And then eventually, like I got deeper and deeper into fintech, and fintech is like so complicated. So like I feel like I'm still learning, and I personally love finance and everything related to finance. So I think it's a good match.
That is really cool. So kind of, one thing I realized is that in your career, actually the manager plays a pretty important role.
Yes.
Because that person is kind of overseeing what you do, help you grow your career. And in your case, your manager had a gentle push.
Yes.
That helped you to transition from an IC to a manager level. Yeah.
Yes.
That is really cool. Yeah.
Yes. I feel like, now that I think about it, actually, like I think managers play a very crucial role in your life, especially when you're early on in your career.
Yeah.
Because you kind of like look up to these managers, these leaders, and then you take their advice seriously. So I think what you say, what they say matters to you. So that's actually, I never thought of it like that. But yes, I think having good mentors or managers is like a key, very important.
The second question is one of my favorite ones because I'm always curious for other functions, not product management. What is a typical day for you as an engineer leader? And kind of what are some surprising things people don't know about being an engineer leader?
Simply, I think there is no typical day. It varies.
Every day is different.
Every day is different. Every job is different. Every quarter is different. But primarily, I think I can break down what I do into like 3 big buckets. The biggest bucket is, of course, technology. Like how do you make sure you build a technology to take the business forward in the way that is scalable, reliable, and like, achieving the business outcomes. So I spend a lot of time there. I love doing architecture work. So I'm a very hands-on, like in terms of like architecting, building the pieces together. What does an enterprise architecture look like? So I really enjoy doing that. Also, and I would say 30 to 40% average of my time would go in like the core technical problems, and which is by design and choice, because that is something that gives me joy.
You still want to understand the core of the technology versus kind of being really high up and then not know the Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
And I feel like that's how I connect with the people in my team, people, the engineers in the team, the other leaders in the team, or my peers. I feel like the biggest high of working in tech is when you surround yourself with small people and you're solving smart people and you're
Mhm.
solving like strong, complex technical problems. So I think that that's what my job is primarily, or at least the expectation is from my engineering leader. I think the next bucket is like understanding the business domain and how do you create value, whether
Yeah.
it's through revenue, efficiency, or other things. And the third bucket, which is very important, is people. Like, how do you make sure, like, yeah, you're taking care of the people around you, people who are working with you, and growing the team. So I would say primarily these three buckets. So the day varies on like where you are spending the time. Some days are hard, some days are easy, but it's never the same, which is what I like.
Yeah, gotcha. So it sounds like in kind of a high level, you want to make sure you stay on top of the technology trends, like
Yeah.
architecture, like what the team has been doing.
Yeah.
And then you also take care of people. You understand where your team, which area they need growth, or which area they need more
Yeah,
mentorship or a gentle push,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So that's
Yeah,
how you kind of manage. Yeah.
absolutely.
Do you feel like a lot of time also being spent on meetings as the engineer leader versus when you were IC time?
Definitely, yes. But I feel like in the beginning, when I transitioned to management, I did not know how to set my own boundaries. But
Hmm.
now I figured a way out to set my own boundaries. For example,
Okay.
like at least once a week, I would try to block like one half of the day where
Mm.
it's like a no meeting day where I can do some heads down work and thinking.
Deep work.
So that bucket of time I feel sacred and I try to like respect it. So if meetings are coming in that time, I try to, if possible, if it's
Yeah.
not an urgent meeting, I try to suggest another time. Then the other thing I do is like if I feel like a meeting is just for an update meeting
Hmm.
and can be done async, like
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
much can you do async? Like,
Right. Right.
push that. And what is the purpose of the meeting? The meeting should not, the doing the meeting should not be the outcome of the meeting.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
meeting has to lead to somewhere. It can be
Right.
a
Right.
brainstorming meeting, it can be a problem solving meeting, or it can be any business meeting. So yeah, I feel like you have to protect your time very, very voraciously, which
Right.
I
Right.
didn't have to do when I was in IC. There were
Yeah.
way less meetings on the calendar.
Yeah, so you do have to prioritize your energy, your time.
Yeah.
You want to make sure as a leader you focus on the most important thing,
Yeah.
right? I like that you said if something could be done like the email or just review a
Yeah.
slide or status tracker, people don't need to be in the same room.
Yeah.
And it's always good to save time that way,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
then people can focus on other things that could be more important
Yes.
on their agenda.
Yes, absolutely. Though meetings, like in-person meetings, I think play a critical role of building a team camaraderie, a relationship also. So I
Mm.
try to prioritize like a lot of like, if I can, like do meetings which build like relationships that you can work async. Because
Yeah,
in order
yeah.
to work smoothly async, you need to have like a relationship that gets happened through either meetings or meeting in person. So that's also like a big part of like why meetings exist.
Yeah, I like that last point you made is you can't just say async to everybody.
Yeah.
You have to build trust
Yes.
up front.
Yes.
And then people are, kind of they trust each other, things will get done, or something needs to be flat, will be flat async as well. And then once you have that kind of rapport established, then it's easier, it's more smooth selling
Yes.
from here. Yeah,
Yes.
got it, got it. The next question is about kind of things you have written in the past. So you've written about kind of leading in the matrix, influencing people beyond your direct authority to create impact. And then if I paraphrase it, you describe having almost like a panic attack early on when nobody reported to you. So how did you learn to lead without authority? And then how does that still show up in your current current?
Wow, I'm glad. Like, wow, you did good research. Yeah. It's like I wrote about that years ago, and I think I was still an IC or like a team lead at that time, not
Yeah.
having direct leadership authority. And my VP at that time had given me a problem to solve. And one of the big challenges of that problem was it was a cross domain problem. I had to work with marketing. I had to work with the data science team. I had to work with the product engineering teams to come up with an architecture that will scale
Yeah.
for the need. I was like, nobody reports to me. Why would
Well,
anybody listen to me? So like, but then I read some books. I talked to a few of my mentors, and I quickly realized the thing that you brought up, like building trust.
trust.
So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and why does trust get built? It's like if you have common goals, if you have, so aligning on the goals, what you're trying to do, and like showing up in a way that people trust you because you do what you say and say what you do. So I think then that once I had the principles down, that working with stakeholders who don't directly report to you or people who don't directly report to you, the bridge is the trust and common goals. So you first build the trust, you align on common goals, and you don't wait. One thing I realized, which I would do differently now, is like once I got the problem, then I build the relationship. But I think you need to build the relationship.
Okay, yeah.
So because problems will come. So you need to always like reach out to people who are not in like your direct sphere. Or someone in a data team or someone in analytics team or someone in your peer team. Always like have those bridges ahead of time. So when an opportunity comes to solve a complex problem, you're not like first building the relationships exist. And then I quickly realized the senior leaders who were around me and who are successful even now, the leaders who I look up to, they have this trait in common. They build relationships ahead of time, and it's not a transactional relationship. Their relationships are genuine. They built it over time, and then work comes and they happen to do good work. People. So that's something I try to learn every day.
Really good tip, right? Because as you said, like not transactional, but maybe help out in however way you can, so people have the trust. It's almost I'm trying to think about analogy. It's almost like if you want to, let's say, do like a walking group around the neighborhood. If you know that person, that could be a neighbor, should be somebody like close to this neighborhood, then you feel like, oh, I can trust you, so we'll go toward the same common. Let's say we do 1 mile or 2 mile walks every day. Versus you say, hey, I'm gonna do the mile walk. Do you want to join me? Then that person might not know you as well. So it's a hard thing. Do I want to join you in this walk? Versus if you know, hey, this person, you already, even if just like nodding acquaintance like relationship, then okay, there's some trust.
There's some trust. And I think you do this beautifully because it's like we have known each other for like a long time now. And you started this podcast, we talked about this, and we have been trying to like get us together but it's like it's built on this mutual trust that we have. It's not like a transactional relationship. So I feel like that trust, like it's like investing time in people, and like eventually that like leads to good outcomes. But it has to be, the intention has to be right. The intention has to be non-transactional because people will see through if it's just a transactional relationship.
100%. And the next question, I'm kind of turning the gear a little bit towards AI stuff. The question is about how are you and your team leverage AI in your day-to-day work, since you are in fintech, and then a little more sensitive about all these like, financial information and data stuff. And then has it fundamentally shifted how you guys like build, ship, and how you manage people with AI stuff?
So AI, like you can, I'm trying to bucket it into two big areas. One is like AI within the products, where like, the product experiences, what you're doing within products, like in fintech, like how do you do disputes? How do you do like, commerce? A lot of that will fundamentally change with AI. So that is one piece. The second piece is like, how do you bring efficiencies and build with AI? Like me being in tech, a lot of it is like how you can use the tools that help you code faster, the tools that help you code review faster, and the tools that make you more efficient faster. So we are definitely investigating that, and a lot of that usage is coming. But as you said, because my domain is fintech, we have to be a little careful about like what content and data we can share outside of our internet and versus what stayed. So it is a little slower than, let's say, a traditional commerce company, which doesn't have to worry that much about security. But I kind of like that because then you have to understand actually what is happening under the hood. Like what is
you have to know the core versus like, oh, let me get on the trend.
So for example, like one of the things is like, okay, we have started to use LLMs internally to like, increase efficiency. But one of the core things is we have not enabled any apps on those LLMs because those apps go to the internet and we don't want the data to go across the company. So we'll get there, but over time and on our own terms. So I think it's a little slow, but I like that we are more intentional about it. But I think AI is here to stay, and it's here to make us more efficient, and it's the change is probably faster than anybody expected. I talk to a lot of people in a lot of tech companies, and majority of the engineers are now working with agents and writing code through agents and not directly as they were doing like even 6 months ago. So I think adapting is really crucial. I'm learning as well as we go. It's kind of an exciting time. It's a little scary, but it's exciting at the same time. It's like being on a roller coaster. It's like exciting but scary at the same time.
Yeah. And I like that. I'm imagining in the fintech world where like security, you have to be slower. That's kind of how you put the seatbelt for your roller coaster. You make sure you're secure before you went on the ride or something.
That's actually a very good analogy because you're dealing with people's money. You can't be just like flying off the rails.
Woo!
So yeah, we have to figure out the seatbelt first. So I guess we're in the stage of figuring out what the seatbelt looks like.
Yeah, I've seen the news with OpenClaw. I mean, it's still popular, but when it first came out, there was one security director at Meta who used OpenClaw on her personal, work email. And then OpenClaw started to delete stuff. And then she posted the screenshots on Twitter to say, hey, this is bad. But then on the other hand, it also shows that if you are a security director, AI security director, like, shouldn't you know better? Don't jump on the bandwagon so quickly.
That's pretty interesting. I wonder, like to be in tech and do what we do, you have to be passionate about like trying new stuff. So I understand the passion this person was coming from to like try new stuff. I also appreciate that they made a mistake and posted about that publicly. But there is a balance. Some mistakes are like, some mistakes are just mistakes. You can correct them. We all learn through mistakes. Some mistakes are disastrous. So until you prevent the disaster mistake and you make like iterative progress, I think it's good. So it's like, I guess it's a balance like everything else in life.
For sure. Yeah, so it's definitely a balance. The next question on our main question pool is that you moved from India to US and really early in your career, and then you build your way up, like through companies with these household names. And then what do you wish somebody had told you about navigating Silicon Valley, center of the universe, as an immigrant woman, especially in the engineering field?
That's a really good question. I am one of the first people in my immediate family to leave India. So there was no blueprint of like what even like leaving India looks like.
You cannot follow any.
At least in my immediate family, I have an uncle who immigrated to Australia years ago. So I knew it's possible, but he was not in core tech. So it was not like a direct one-to-one relation, and he was in Australia. So I think I should admit it was really hard because I remember I came in October of the year. I came to US and I was in Chicago and I come from North India. I've never seen snow in my life. And I come here in October and November, December, it starts snowing and I don't have the right snowshoes. I don't have the right jacket. And I don't know anybody, but people at work, eventually I build relationships with them and they say, okay, this is the boot you need to buy. This is this is the coat you need to buy. So by second year, I felt comfortable, but I didn't know how to drive. The first 6 months were like really hard. But so what I wish someone would have told me was like, at that time, I was doing it subconsciously, but ask for help. Like ask people. People are more than happy to help. And, I remember my actually first boss in Walgreens. She was so nice and kind to me. She took me for like this shopping for my boots and like my jacket. And she told me, hey, you go here. This is where you shop. This is where you do. She did not have to do that. And a lot of these people, like similar people came along in my life. So I would always say like, ask more. Because I wish I asked more. What you don't ask, you don't get.
Right.
Always ask. The worst case, you'll be shut down and that's okay. Always ask. And as an immigrant woman and as a woman in tech, I think I didn't understand the art of negotiation or asking for a long time. Even now it is uncomfortable. It's not a natural trait. So always ask and make friends for life.
I love that.
Because it's like, eventually it's all about people. Like I was calling like few of my friends who are building AI agents and just picking their brains on how they're doing things. What I can learn from them in 30 minutes will be way more than what I can learn reading a book. And always be curious. Do your homework, learn, be curious, bring something to the table.
I love that. Yeah, these are really good tips. I feel like I'm saving those for my kids as well. You gotta ask for more. You gotta be curious. Okay, now to conclude.
And fun also. Like I feel like it's really important to like enjoy the journey too. Because, like where I come from, like it was all about the destination. I always thought about destination, but I think now I've reached a point where journey is equally important. And I wish I knew that back then. Enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey. Yeah.
It's like, it will only happen once.
Yeah. Be successful said that you can't beat the people who are like working and having fun.
Yeah.
Right. Because then they don't feel tired, right? They're enjoying the process and whatever outcome, could be failure they get, they just keep going. Right?
Yeah.
So those are people like
Yeah.
unbeatable. Yeah.
You need to enjoy what you do, 100%.
To move on to the fun part of the question. The bonus
Good timing.
question. Thank you. What is your favorite clothing brand?
Big brand. I like simple clothes, as you can see, like simple, easy to wear clothes. So I like staples from Uniqlo,
No, Uniqlo's good.
and I like staples from Patagonia. I like staples. I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
buy and
yeah.
it lasts me a long time.
Yeah.
And if I have to dress up in a nice dress, I like Kate Spade.
It's a great brand.
Yeah, so
it's my
like,
wallet and my handbag.
I
Kate
love
Spade,
their
yeah.
dresses. They're designed for like women my shape. So,
Mhm.
it's like the A shape, and it's like, yeah. But after I had my kid, I'm very much into like simple, sustainable, like, easy
Sustainable
to wear,
fashion. Yeah.
easy to wear clothes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm in the same way. I don't like things like big logos, right?
Yeah.
I don't need those. I want something that's simple and then like sustainable. Like
Yeah.
Patagonia is a really good company that also
Yeah.
build on like sustainable philosophy and stuff.
Yeah, and it's like they have amazing customer service. I remember when I first bought from them, and after 2 months, I had to return and I couldn't find the receipt or something, and they were more than happy.
Yeah.
And they really suit the climate of Northern California too. So their
Yeah.
clothes are like designed for the climate. Plus it's like
For sure.
it's a company which I heard. I don't know how true it is. It's the founder like gave it back to the employers,
Yeah.
employees.
Yeah.
Like I like the ethos of that. So supporting that is like a good thing to do.
Yeah, I read it somewhere the other day is that let's say if you have a jacket 10 years and it
Yeah.
broke or something, you can take it to the store.
Ooh,
They will
wow.
rather like patch it up for you than tell you to buy a new one and throw the old one away
Yeah.
because that's built into their company culture as well.
Yeah.
And I love the companies that really kind of walk the walk
Yeah.
of what they believe in, which makes me say, oh, I really love that like outdoorsy brand.
Wow. Yeah. I did not know that, but that makes me more motivated.
Now we move on to the last one. It's a spicy question.
Ooh.
I think we've seen this, we've experienced people around us, there are constant layoffs right
Yeah.
now in this economy. So how should kind of engineers and just the tech folks in general, how do you prepare for the worst, but also kind of show up every day and giving the best at work? And then how do you keep a healthy mentality through all of this?
Mm.
Because it's, it's bad for morale, to be honest.
Yes,
Whether
100%.
people who got laid off or people who survived, but then you see people you were close with at work goes through layoff, and then how do you show up to work like after that? Or versus some companies, there's always rumor in the news. There's a 20% folks will be gone next week, and then I know people could be like panicking for the whole week. What's your suggestion for people who try to have a kind of a healthy mentality to go through this?
I love the question because if we didn't talk about this, it would be ingenuous because it's happening in tech, it's happening all around us. We know people who have been impacted closely by that. And it's, I would say, first, just acknowledging it's a very difficult and hard time in tech. And if we don't acknowledge them, then probably we are lying. And if you don't acknowledge a problem, you are probably just like, you're not going to get anywhere. So first of all, that acknowledgement that this is a very big transitional shift that is happening in our careers. Some advice is pretty like boilerplate, I would say, like, like make sure that you have like enough savings that if something did happen, you can last like 6 months to a year. Before you could get a job in 2 months. Now it can take 6 months, upwards of a year. So make sure like your finances are taken care of and you don't panic financially. Because if you are like in that panic, then you may end up making wrong decisions and you may end up choosing the jobs which may not like align with you short term just for getting a paycheck, which is okay to do at some point. But if you have the opportunity, you should have that like, a little bit more in the bank, I would say. So that's some practical advice. The second is like be on top of like what changes are happening. Don't assume nothing is changing. Things are changing.
Yeah.
And
don't be an ostrich. But
don't
like
be an ostrich.
actively listen.
Yeah. And like I have used LLMs, I've used a lot of other productivity tools, and it's clear that a lot of coding, like traditional coding things can be done by LLMs. But then the question is like, can they do complex system design? Not yet, right? And can they do the people negotiation, the trust building, and like how do you align on outcomes? So there are things that an LLM traditionally cannot do. So like you need to like think about what those things are and kind of like try to work for that. And the third thing is like to keep the morale up, I think is the most difficult thing because because morale is like if you're hearing around there are rumors about your company that you're working in that they're going through layoffs, it's very hard to be 100% present there. So that's a hard one, but I think that's a lot of it goes back to like mental health.
Okay.
It's like, what
Yeah.
is in your control, what is not in
In
your
control.
control,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like if you are giving 100% or if you are showing up well to your job, it's like you're doing it for yourself because you're
Yeah.
building the skills that will help you, like maybe in this job, maybe in next job.
I love that mentality.
And instead of like, I should just stop giving it because my company is having constant layoff. Yes, you can do that. But then if you start with that, then you become obsolete because you have
Right.
stopped learning. So I
Right,
think
right.
always have the motivation, be a little selfish, have the motivation for yourself. And
Yeah.
I think it has to be internal versus external. It's very hard to do. So I think taking care of your mental health is really important. Like, enjoy the weather, have fun with your family and friends, and try not to read like, let's say if I'm reading like Twitter or Reddit, if I've read a news once, I try not to scroll it more, so I use the same news again and again, because sometimes
It's
with
an echo chamber.
with the algorithm, you get the same news again and again.
Yeah.
This is happening, it's okay, close the phone,
Move on.
move on.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, protect your mental health.
Yeah, I love that. When I was writing down the question, I was having very similar thoughts.
Yeah.
Because I think when you do a great job at your current job, think about not just for the company,
Yeah.
but also for yourself,
Yeah.
because you are learning, and whatever takeaway, sure, the revenue to be the company, but the takeaway and the knowledge is yours. And then that will help you to lead your future job. That could be even better. Let's say if people like currently, let's say our audience, whoever is going through layoff, right? Think about the good work you've done in the past. They help you to land a great job, an even better job next time. And when you build great relationship with your coworkers, with your managers, or some indirect reports, indirect management chain, they notice that, hey, you're a great person. And even if you're going through layoff, those people will find you. So you're doing the great work for yourself. And then, as you said, like keep a kind of almost at a boundary, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to burn out, right? You don't have to give like 150%.
Yeah.
Because, the layoff could be happening.
Yes.
But if they happen to you, kind of think about it as, like, try not to be resentful. I know it's kind of hard.
It's kind of hard. That's not going to lead anywhere because it's like it's not good for you. So like think about, like as you said, like going to work as an opportunity to build the relationships for the next job also. Like I have heard from many of my friends, like the next gig that they got was through a referral and not through randomly applying.
Exactly.
It was very different before. Like you would get a call back if you applied, but that doesn't happen now because there are a lot of applications. So if you know people have seen your work and they value your work,
Yeah.
there will be somebody always saying a positive thing about you. And I think that matters. So like how you show up to work, what your credibility is eventually matters. And for that, you have to keep your head up and just keep going through it. But I think like as with any change, it will settle in some time. Adaptability is important. If we adapt, I think we all can like get through this new stage like a little bit more smoothly, I would say.
Yeah, 100%. And let's say if you're having a bad time with the current company, at least you're learning, hey, the certain management style is not my thing. Or you're learning, oh, I don't want to be working in this domain or this area. Then that helps you kind of add it to your knowledge bank. And then it goes on to the next job, where whether you start your own thing or something, or whether you join a new company, say, hey, I want to avoid whatever the previous company is. So that adds to your own learning process.
Well, that's actually a good point. It also, like what you're saying is that job also teaches you what not to do,
Well,
not just what to do. Yeah, so do it for yourself and try to stay as positive as you can, but be realistic. A big part of the layoff will be out of our control or your control. So if it does happen to you, don't internalize everything that, oh, I wish I would have done something different. Yes, we all can do better. We all can learn. But at the end of the day, it's a business decision. It's not about you. That kind of helps you. Otherwise, you go in this, cycle of like, I feel like, oh, this happened to me because I didn't do that. I wish I did that. Yes, sure. You can do a lot of learnings, but at the end of the day, it was not your fault.
Exactly.
It's also very important to kind of like remember. And yeah, just keep going, because I think persistent always works out. Like it's true in anything in life, right? Like you do like half a mile walk every day is more helpful than like doing 5K once a month. So be consistent, be persistent, and it's just keep trying. Yeah.
Failure, rejection is a redirection.
Well, that's a good one. Rejection.
I think one of my podcasts mentioned that last year, I think. So that kind of stayed in my mind. It doesn't matter that if you're going through it, just realize, hey, eventually something will come your way, right? And then whatever you learned in the past, good or bad, that's part of your brain, part of your memory. So you know how to handle it next time.
And one thing I would also add is like we do a lot of work on the computer. So we are in a room a lot of the time. But studies have shown that if you come out, if you enjoy the weather, if you take some sunshine, It helps with your mental health. It helps with the performance at the job. So when things do happen which are not in your control at your work, like remember that.
Yeah.
Remember that, okay,
Get
like,
fresh air.
yeah, like, and that hence we are in a park. But
Yeah.
remember, like, okay, like what makes you happy?
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That concludes all my questions. Thank
Oh,
you, Shomi.
thank you, Yang. This
All
was
right.
wonderful.
Bye.
Bye-bye.